All right, chat, let's watch how Trump saved Israel.
This literally just happened an hour ago. Bro said the ceasefire is epic.
The epic ceasefire agreement could have only happened as a result of a historic victory in November, as it signals to the entire world that my administration would seek peace and negotiate deals to ensure the safety of all Americans and our allies. I am thrilled Americans and Israel hostages will be returned home to be reunited with their families and loved ones. You know, Aspen is probably gonna like dog on Trump on this, but I 100% agree that it's because Trump won this is happening. Like I'm actually in that boat. So don't shoot the messenger. I'm not a Democrat or Republican. I'm just a realist. Just calling a spade a spade. I really think this is a Carter situation with the Iranian hostages back in the day. So I think if Trump didn't win, this would not be happening.
Yes, he did. Okay, let's watch it.
This is a massive deal, weeks in the making, Alex.
It certainly is, if not longer, Pam.
Probably years.
We have been waiting for more than 13 months since the last ceasefire deal, and since the last time there was an exchange of hostages and prisoners for this moment. It appears that this deal is imminent, if not done already. We're reporting that Hamas has agreed to the deal. There was certainly an expectation from the Israeli side that they would agree to a deal. All of this, of course, brokered after intensive negotiations with the mediators, the United States, Qatar, and Egypt. So this is obviously extremely welcome news after...
This is great. I mean, this is actually such a good thing. I think people have wanted, I mean, like, really, this is amazing. I mean, whether it was Biden or Trump or whoever, this is a great thing.
I think that's Asmongold being a little like on the safe side because he's scared to give Trump the credit. I believe this is Trump's doing. I believe this is Trump's doing, and it is a great thing that's happening. There are going to be people on Instagram, on TikTok for a couple days, I guess, that are upset that because, yes, the ceasefire is great because lives will be stopped, but that means that the way they see is the way that injustice has been done to Gaza Strip will just be kind of be ignored now. That they will not get the resolution they're looking for. And this will just stop it all. Like everything's like, okay, my bad, you're bad. And I know a lot of people I have some Middle Eastern friends who think that the ceasefire is in the benefit of the Israeli government. So you're gonna have those people out there, and everybody's entitled to their own opinions. But the fact that lives will be stop being killed, like Trump said a while ago, I want them to stop dying. Like we just want people to stop dying on both sides.
14 months of fighting, and what we expect to happen if indeed this deal goes into effect is that over the course of some 6 weeks we would see more than 30 Israeli hostages released by Hamas and other groups who are holding them in Gaza.
Trump 100%. How is it Trump logically? I don't know. So I don't really know if this is true or not because I don't have enough information about it. But the people that are probably going to say that it's because of Trump would probably use the example. I think that there were hostages with Jimmy Carter. And then when Reagan won the election, the hostages were immediately returned. So people are probably going to liken this situation to the time with Reagan and Jimmy Carter. And I think that they're going to think that basically Trump is going to come in there and they're worried about just getting completely carpet bombed. And just
I 100% agree with what he's saying. I don't think it's like speculation. I think it's 100% fact that that's why it's happening, because also Trump said if the hostages are not released by the time I come into office, all hell is going to break loose in the Middle East. He literally said that. So when you have a leader who is powerful, you're going to get results. If you have a leader like Joe Biden who keeps falling up the stairs and nobody respects him, you're going to have, the Middle East doing whatever they want. So I really believe that Trump is scared them into doing this, and they believe Trump will do what he'll say. A lot of people forget that Trump moved the embassy in his presidency. He's done a lot of things that he was one of the most pro-Israel presidents in a long time, and maybe in history. To be honest, he's done a lot for Israel. A lot of people in Israel actually really like Trump. So I think they know this. I think Hamas is aware of this, and they believe on day one he will retaliate if the hostages are released. So that's why it's happening. And I believe Asmon knows this.
Getting annihilated, because I think that there's a good chance Trump would probably do that. So that's like, I mean, is that the reason why this happened? It's impossible to know that. But I do think that the people that are
I say 99%
leading Hamas, I do think that they're worried about that. Absolutely. I mean, like, I would be fucking, like, if you were Hamas, wouldn't you be fucking terrified of that?
Yes, extremely.
Like, yeah, I would be, absolutely.
I think we had the exact number of Palestinian prisoners who would be released by Israel, and then there are a bunch of other different elements that would go into effect. Palestinians would be allowed to go home in the Gaza Strip. More humanitarian aid would get to go in. But I think the point here, Pam, is that after weeks of feverish work on the U.S. side with both Biden administration officials and officials from the incoming Trump team working in coordination with each other, they and the other mediators have managed to get the Israelis and Hamas, it appears, across the finish line, where we are going to get a truce, a pause in this fighting. One thing I really want to emphasize is this does not mean the end of this war. This means a break in this war. Hopefully,
yeah, I think that everybody knows that.
This break will last at least 6 weeks, if not longer. Hopefully all
Jesus
of these
Christ, how fucking bleak.
6 weeks.
Hopefully this break in the war lasts for at least 6 weeks. That's like it's like 2 months.
A month and a half, dude.
Oh my God.
people will come home who are supposed.
I do. Excuse me, I almost died my own spit. I do think that this is kind of the end of this war, to be honest, the start of the end, because Hamas, they really don't have anything. That's one of their biggest plays that they had, is that they had those hostages, and now that they're releasing them, I really don't see what they have. They really don't have a strong military. There's such a small space on the map. This is their biggest. This was their trump card, no pun intended, and they're just letting them go out of fear of Trump. So I do think this is the downhill of this war in the favor of Israel, which a lot of the Middle Eastern countries are kind of saying. If you look on Instagram and TikTok and stuff, they're saying that Gaza is going to be obliterated now. So I do think this is the end of the war, and Gaza is slowly going towards a loss.
Supposed to come home, but there are big questions about what would happen after this first phase of a ceasefire, which, as it stands now, and this plan has been in place for quite some time since President Biden laid it out in May, this is expected to.
Somebody says, especially after Pete Hegseth said in his confirmation that he wants to kill every member of Hamas. Yeah, I mean, like, it's impossible to know whether that was a factor, and I think that it's unfair to say that it definitely was. But I would tell you this, that if I was in charge of Hamas and I saw these two crazy fucks that are about to be in charge, and they have nuclear weapons and like fucking, faster than the speed of sound jets and infinite bombs that are saying that we're going to kill every single one of you, I would be more willing to negotiate.
Oh, for sure. I'm pretty sure that's what's going on.
Absolutely would.
Last around 6 weeks. So we're still waiting for final word, I believe, from all of the parties, but this certainly seems imminent, if not a done deal already.
I want to go back to MJ Lee at the White House. I believe we're reconnected. MJ, what can you tell us about this plan?
Well, Pam, according to a senior administration official telling CNN, it is done, it is confirmed, meaning that Hamas has given that final green light, agreeing to the ceasefire.
That's crazy. Trump could bring peace to the Middle East, but he couldn't save TikTok. He couldn't save our TikTok, huh? He couldn't save TikTok, but he brought peace to Israel. What the
and hostages release deal that had been on the table for a while. And based on all of our reporting, we knew that this really was the final step that all of the parties were waiting for, that it really came down to this group agreeing to the parameters that everybody else had agreed to. Part of the reason we have been so cautious in our reporting all of this time is precisely that, that in the end, it came down to Hamas giving this final green light. And when we have spoken to at least U.S. officials involved in these discussions and with knowledge of the situation, they always pointed to the fact that it was impossible to make any kind of predictions with certainty because at the end of the day, they were dealing with Hamas. But again, here we have it, confirmation from a senior administration official that Hamas has finally given the green light and there is a deal for a ceasefire in Gaza and for the hostages to be released.
What a relief.
This is a deal, as you were talking about just now with Alex, that has been elusive for the Biden administration and for the U.S. for so many months. You know, we had that initial ceasefire back more than a year ago, around Thanksgiving, 2 Thanksgivings ago.
You know what's actually really crazy as well, guys? Remember that Trump, when he was running, he said on day one, this Israeli situation will be taken care of and the Ukrainian situation will be taken care of, which I'm not sure that one's going to be resolved on day one, but it looks like he was right about the Israel one. But it is pretty amazing that this is happening.
When a number of hostages came out, that ceasefire ended up being temporary, only lasting a number of days.
15 months.
And really, since then, U.S. officials have been working to get a second
5 days before the 20th. Well, somebody said in chat, the innocent fears the cruel, and the cruel fears the madman. Yeah, I mean, like, in my opinion, I'll say it. I think Trump's a fucking psychopath. I do. I think that he would bomb them, and he would not give a fuck about how many innocent people got killed or anything. He would legitimately fucking kill all of them. I think that's what he would do. And I think that they're worried, and I think they know that. And also, it's probably not a guarantee, but it's like, would you want to take the risk of that? Ooh, I wouldn't. I wouldn't at all. That's an intellectually dishonest statement? Really? I mean, okay.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with them on that one, to be honest. Like I kind of agree, but I don't know if Trump, like, this guy's been literally talking about how he just wants people to stop dying. He doesn't like to see the deaths and everything. But I do feel like he would. I'm not saying he's going to nuke them like Asmon's saying. I don't think he's a psychopath like that much. You know, he was president once and there was no World War III. The worst thing he did was, in my opinion, was he killed the Iranian general when he was on a traveling mission. Like, when he was traveling, and he just bombed him. But it was one guy who was a bad dude. But I thought that was like against the, like, kind of a war crime that could have started World War III, and that was one of my biggest concerns with Trump. But I thought it was actually a lot less war in Trump. Trump was actually trying to get out of war in his first term. He was trying to pull out of a war. So I think this is I don't know what to call this take that Asmon has right here. It's kind of I think he's trying to pander to his audience a little bit because he's kind of scared because he got his ban recently or something. But I do agree that Trump would do what's necessary. I'm not sure if he would enjoy it.
Okay. I mean, that's what I think. I mean, if I were them, that's how I would look at it. Yeah. I mean, really, like, that's how I would look at it. I mean, I'm not sure, like, maybe it wouldn't happen that way. Maybe that's not how they see it, but that's just how I'd see it.
The ceasefire in place, but it had been so challenging. There were so many moments throughout the last year plus where we reported that things looked like they were maybe getting close, that we had reason for optimism based on our sources and our reporting. But even in these final days, you know, everybody we had talked to were so careful to almost not get their hopes up too much. I think we should.
Yeah. Somebody said too, hasn't he already promised to bomb them if they're not free by the time that he takes office?
He did.
He has,
yeah.
Yep. That's exactly, yes, that is exactly what it was. And yeah, 5 days before he takes office.
Coincidence? I think
And
not.
a good deal amount of time talking about Donald Trump and the incoming president's desire to get this done that had been really so decisive in the end in helping to get this across the finish line.
Certainly. And just for our viewers, just to remind you, in terms of the numbers, Hamas and its allies hold 94 people taken from Israel on October 7th, 2023. The majority are civilians. 34 are confirmed dead, but the number is almost certainly higher than that. 81 are men and 13 women, and there are two under the age of 5. And if
that's pretty bad.
It's not Hamas, but Israel, who was forced to capitulate by Trump. I mean, good. Like, I mean, yeah, I think that, yeah, good.
Of course, there's going to be phases, as Alex had laid out.
Yeah, good either way. It doesn't matter. Like, either way, it's good no matter how you get here.
The expected ceasefire. I want to go straight to Jeremy Diamond, who is on the ground there in Israel, to get the Israel part of this. Because
again, I'm saying if you are pro-Palestinian, pro-Gaza, I think you would probably think this is a good to have a ceasefire, but you're also like concerned that they just gave away their biggest leverage that they had, because if you guys remember when this first happened, people were saying the only reason why Israel's not like bombing the heck out of them right now is because they have those hostages. So but then they started bombing them anyways. So so that if you're on that side of the aisle, you're kind of a little like skeptical of what the future looks like for the Gaza Strip. But if you are, I think the majority of the people, you're pretty excited that this just war is stopping. Nobody wants to see war. Like it's just a terrible thing that's happening, and like Asma said, it is good that this is happening.
Because there's a process in Israel, right, Jeremy? Walk us through that.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Pam. And first of all, I think it's important to note that for the last 2 days, the Israeli government officials who I've been speaking with have been saying this is in Hamas's hands. We need Hamas to say yes in order to get to a deal. And that is indeed what has now happened. And so for all intents and purposes, we do indeed now have an agreement between these parties to go into a ceasefire that is expected to last 6 weeks, during which you will see 33 Israeli hostages released, hundreds of Palestinian prisoners released from Israeli jails in exchange, the much-needed entry of...
That's good. Yeah, because a lot of people don't know this, but apparently Israel had a lot of Palestinian hostages as well. I didn't even know that.
I knew that, but I didn't know it was that many. They just said, what, 133? Is that what they just said? 100? That's a lot.
Intense and... Yeah.
Humanitarian aid, but the process that now needs to happen here in Israel in order for this
1,300
deal to
said? Oh, wow.
become a reality. This agreement will now go from the Israeli Prime Minister. He will take this agreement before his security cabinet, which is a smaller group of his governing coalition, some of his top ministers primarily involved in security affairs. They will then give an up or down vote on this. If it is approved, it will then go to the full cabinet for approval, and only then will the Israeli government be able to officially sign off on this deal and begin marching towards implementation. There is one additional hurdle before implementation, and that is giving the individuals who were impacted by those Palestinian prisoners who will be released the opportunity to petition the Supreme Court against their release. That is largely a formality. The Israeli government has enormous leverage, and
this does seem a lot different than the ceasefire that we had a year and a month ago, whatever, 13 months ago. This does seem a lot more intense than last time. It seems like this one is like, you could kind of smell it in the air. You can feel the tension that something is shifting here. Unlike the other one was kind of like all right, we're just going to stop killing each other. But this one seems like something is changing a little bit.
The Prime Minister in particular has enormous freedom to release those prisoners as it relates to security matters. So that will likely be a 24-hour period that will go by. And that likely takes us most likely to Sunday, which is what I've been told is the most likely date when this deal will actually be implemented on the ground. That will mean that we will see the first Israeli hostages in more than a year be released as part of a diplomatic agreement here for these hostages to come out of Gaza. You will see the release of Palestinian prisoners from Israeli jails. And in addition to that, of course, you will see Israeli jets, Israeli troops on the ground lower their weapons. And for the first time in over a year,
that is crazy, huh? A day before Trump gets in, they're doing it.
Silenced here, and the people of Gaza will finally get a much-needed reprieve from the military assault that they have been undergoing over the last year.
All right, thank you so much, Jeremy. I want to go to CNN foreign policy reporter Barak Ravid. What can you tell us about this deal and when the Hamas prisoners will be released, those held hostage, I should say, and the Palestinian prisoners as well? What more can you tell us about that?
So I think one of the most important things that our viewers need to know right now is that there are 7 Americans held by Hamas in Gaza. 2 of them are expected to be released in this initial phase of the hostage deal. One of them is U.S. citizen Keith Siegel. A video of him from captivity was aired a few months ago. And he is in the list for this first phase. Another U.S. citizen is Sagid Ekelchen, another U.S. citizen who is on the list of the 33 hostages expected to be released in this initial phase. And I think what is very interesting is that this deal has been in the making for months, since President Biden laid out his plan, his proposal last May, and U.S. negotiators, Qatari negotiators, Egyptian negotiators, Israeli negotiators have been working on this for months. I think the breakthrough.
So are we saying this is not a Trump victory then? By saying this has been months by the Biden administration? Is that what we're trying to say here?
Came when the deal with Hezbollah on the ceasefire in Lebanon happened, because then Hamas in Gaza understood that it has been left alone and that no one's coming to save them. And since then, what I hear from Israeli news officials is since then they saw a change in how Hamas is negotiating this deal, and this is how we got to this point.
Well, there it is. I think this is great. That's great. I mean, people are getting killed by this constantly. Hopefully it lasts as long as possible. Yeah, this legitimately, it's tragic this does not happen sooner. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I'm just glad that it's happening now. Thank God, right? I mean, like, really. And, man, literally the same hostage deal, lying cons. I'm not sure. I bet Trump wants all the credit for it. I think that it's because of Trump or not, based off of whether you like him or not. I don't think that you can really define whether it was him that did it or not. I really don't think so. Like, it's not like there's going to be a way that Hamas is going to say with absolute honesty everything that went into making this decision. So this is going to be one of those situations where if you like Trump, this ceasefire happened because of Trump. And if you don't like Trump, this ceasefire happened, luckily, before Trump took office.
I get what he's saying there, but reality is reality. It's just, you can't really have 2 sides of it. So I get what he's trying to say here, but I think if we look at the situation here, if Trump was not coming into power, this would probably not be happening. I believe that the CNN threw that little bit at the very end to say, oh, it's been happening for 2 months now, to give Biden the actual credit. But regardless how you feel about it, it's a good thing that the lives are going to be ending. I mean, I think the killing is going to be ending and the lives are going to be spared. And we're just going to have stopping of this war. So let me show you guys something else really quick. Let me see if I can pull it. Let's see if I can find it really quick. Let's see. Reporter asked Biden if Trump is the reason for Israel peace. Let's see if I can find this really quick. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. Oh, right here, chat, right here. Ready? Are you ready for this, chat? This is hilarious.
Thank you.
Books credit for this, Mr. President, you or Trump?
Is that a joke? Oh, thank you.
One more time.
Thank you.
Books credit for this, Mr. President, you or Trump?
Is that a joke? Oh, thank you.
So it's not just us, chat, who are asking these questions, right? It's not us who are having these debates. It's literally the reporters are asking Biden, like, who's going to be getting credit for this? So let me know in the comments below if you guys are watching on YouTube. Chat, let me know what you think. YouTube, make sure you guys like and subscribe. I'll see you guys for the next video. In chat, we're going to move on to the next React video. Thank you guys so much.